Hello everyone. Does anyone remember a few weeks ago when M7SN went on a perfect run in weekend ranked? Yeah, very impressive. Now, obviously that puts him in the elite tier of players, but is that enough to put him amongst the greats? Unfortunately, no. But what do you have to do to be amongst the greats? Or better yet, which player is Unchained's greatest of all time? Yeah, we're going there. So, I think we can agree that for a player to be great, he has to have achievements at the highest level. Titles, trophies, and accolades are all fairly good measurements. And for our game, Gods Unchained, that means first place finishes in weekend ranked events and tournament victories. First, let's talk weekend ranked. According to the latest results, there have been a total of 157 weekend ranked events. And this is a graph representing all the winners. However, 78 of these first place finishes have been done by players who have won 2 or more weekend ranks. That's about half of all weekend ranked events ever. Oh, and these 78 first place finish titles are only shared amongst 21 players. And this is a graph of those players. So there are actually 12 players that have won 2 titles. And as you can see, there are some familiar names. If you're a fan of Mudman's What to Play for the Weekend series, you should probably listen to him. With 2 first place finishes, you can say he knows what he's talking about. But if we keep moving, we'll see there's Copper and there's H-Pain. Now, I know it might come as a shock to y'all, but there was a time when Copper Pitch didn't only play meme decks, and he was consistently a top player. Now, if we keep moving along, we can see that everyone is around the same level, 2 to 4 titles. So if we were to make a tier list, they would all be roughly on the same level. I think that's fair. So I'll place them at elite tier. And by the way, this is the full pyramid, but right now we're only concentrating at the very top. But if you count all these players, there's only 18. We need 21. Where are the other 3? Oh. So the chart jumps from 4 titles to 9, with Jack holding 9 and Mirage holding 10. And there's Caution Fund by himself with 11. But I think it's close enough to say that they all belong in the same tier. The 3 of them together hold almost a fifth of all weekend ranked titles ever. That's like saying every week for 6 months, one of those guys was going to win. That's insane. Now let's talk about this guy, Jack High. He holds the record for the most titles in a row, 6. Before Revan ended his streak. Between week 21 and 26, he finished first every time. However, the weekend ranked format was a little different back then. It was 125 wins max, where the winner was decided by games won in MMR. Plus, the ranking system looked like this. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Now, one of the main arguments against Jack is that he was only dominant for 4 months. And his last title would only be on week 34. But the biggest blow to his legacy is the fact that, as far as my research tells me, he has never won any tournaments. And for that, I had to knock him down a tier. Now, don't get me wrong, he was still one of the most elite players ever. He competed against and finished ahead of players like Mudman and Caution Fun. And even today, if you check his player profile, he still is a strong mythic player with plus 1400 MMR. However, it seems like he doesn't really play that much anymore. So, there you have it. Everything's perfect, right? Well, not yet. Do you remember earlier in the video when I said M7SN had a perfect weekend? Well, not all first place finishes are created equal. There have been a total of 17 perfect runs shared amongst 15 players. And I think it's fair to say that everybody who has achieved a perfect run belongs in the elite tier. So we'll add them. You see, on February 26, 2021, the player ISBN made history. He went 25 wins out of 25 games. The first perfect run. And this was week 82. That's right. It took over a year and a half before someone was able to accomplish this. So that's why I think these people deserve to automatically be in the elite tier. Now, I bring this up because Mirage 88 would do the unthinkable. For 3 weeks in a row between the weeks of April 23rd, 2021 and May 7th, 2021, Mirage 88 would finish with a perfect run. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row with his legendary Ramp Magic deck. To put that into perspective, out of the 16 perfect runs in Weekend Ranked, Mirage is the only player to have multiple perfect runs. So during a time when winning back-to-back Weekend Ranks was rare, and having a perfect run was almost unheard of, Mirage did both. And till this day, some 75 weeks later, no one has come close to touching his record. Very impressive. So, in total, Mirage 88 ended up winning 8 titles throughout the year. Not to mention he secured first place in Madness of the Gods 1, Madness of the Gods 2, and Madness of the Gods 3, all being considered major tournaments in Gods Unchained. So, with this, he should be considered Player of the Year for 2021, right? No, it went to Clutch. Now, this is only because the winner of the Community Tour Final is considered Player of the Year. Now, again, don't get me wrong, Clutch had an incredible year. He won 3 weekend ranked events and went perfect on his 3rd with Zoo Light, plus winning 2 tournaments, including the Community Tour Final, and taking down Mirage in the final. He does deserve my respect. But let's face it, Mirage was a real 2021 Player of the Year. Not to mention, he still won 2 other weekend ranked events from the year earlier. Caution Fun has been around since nearly the beginning. And while Mirage's prime was brighter than anyone else's, Caution Fun had longevity. Hear me out. Regarding his 11 weekend ranked titles, his first weekend ranked victory came in week 28, and his last one, week 126. That means for almost 2 years, Caution Fun always had an argument for being the top player. In that span of time, he was winning in the 125 game wins era, Genesis era, Trial of the Gods era, and Divine Order era. It is an anomaly to see this happen. The amount of changes he has seen include new god powers, changed god powers, deleted god powers, ward changed like 2 or 3 times, introduction of champions, introduction of armor and order, and a few more that I don't have the time or energy to list. Normally, a player is able to dominate during a certain meta with a certain archetype, but when a new set or balance is introduced, they always seem to quickly fade away from the top. We see many examples of this, but it seems that Caution Fun was able to hold on the longest. And if I were a betting man, I would bet that Caution Fun would be able to win another weekend title before the end of the year. In addition to his top spot of weekend ranked titles, he is also no stranger to his tournament victories. He took first place in the Champions League Tournament number 2, as well as the first 2 community tournaments held by Team Mythic, later known as Infinite Mana. On a side note, let's have a quick talk about tournaments. You should know by now that Gods Unchained tournaments are infamous for being filled with complaints and controversies. Just check out Fake Muse's stories here.
They ended up giving both sides credit for a win, which makes no sense. Okay, Devoted disconnects. There's some dispute on who's winning. I'm not claiming that he did this intentionally. I'm going to go ahead and get that out here, okay? He finally wins the game on game number 3, and he gets it stolen, robbed from him. It makes absolutely no sense what they are doing here. I got disqualified from a tournament. Then I got reinstated into the tournament without me knowing. Then I got another disqualification win against somebody who didn't have the opportunity to communicate. And then I got that player reinstated into the tournament.
So that wasn't a compilation of the stuff that happened over a long period of time or something. Those clips were taken from his description of 2 tournaments that took place in the last 3 or 4 weeks. He even has a 2-hour video of the stuff that happened in one of those tournaments. So I hope you can understand my reluctance into taking account tournaments, as well as my hesitation to put much weight on them. But obviously I decided to include them anyway. Now, moving on. Now, while Caution does have 1 title over Mirage, he only has 1 perfect weekend ranked event under his belt, and they both have won a similar amount of tournaments. After looking at the numbers and considering their careers, I don't think I could find a clear difference between the two. And if I were to try, I would just be splitting hairs. I think this graph is just about as accurate as we can get. They're both on the same level, but head and shoulders above the rest. So with all being said, I think that about does it for our list. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with my assessment? Or do you put more value on tournaments than I do and think I'm totally off? Or do you think that Clutch deserves to be in the top as well? Leave a comment below on what you think with your own opinion. Thank you so much for watching. This video was something I wanted to make for a long time, but I finally got the nerve to make it. I really wanted to do the top players justice, so I hope I did enough. Huge thanks to Caution Fund for helping me out on the research. It really helped. But again, thanks for watching, and as always, remember, new videos every week. Later.
Me like fun. Need a hug? Me creative. Cursed Kaipara?